everyone, welcome to my channel, Amanda Random. I'm Amanda, and I have my February part 2 of all the books that I read this month. So if you want to see what else I've been up to and what I've all been reading, just keep watching and we'll jump right into this video. So some of the books that I've read this month have been like graphic novels and things like that. So I've actually read them on a new app that I just purchased. I cannot believe that I'm actually in love with this app right now. It's Scribe or Scribd. I'm not even sure how you pronounce it, but they had a free 1-month trial. And I was like, you know what? I'll try it. It's $9.99 a month. I pay that for my Kindle app anyway, so we'll try it. And the best thing about this app, you guys, is you don't purchase books while you're in the app like you do on your Kindle. I know you can get a lot of books for free with your Kindle Unlimited status, but in this Scribed app, you get audiobooks, ebooks, documents, manga books, graphic novels, regular books. Like, okay, you guys, and they're free. If they're on there, they're free. And every book that I have looked up so far has pretty much been on there. And I'm talking new releases and everything. So it is definitely worth checking out. I'm not getting paid. I don't have a sponsorship with them or anything like that. I just definitely wanted to make sure I mentioned that before I got into all the other books. So all of those books that I did read that I can't physically hold up a book for, I will put up a little picture over here in one of the sides of this somewhere so you can kind of see what it looks like as long as I can find it online. So I know in part 1 of the books that I read in February, I believe I read 8 books. So in this part, I'm going to start with book number 9 for the month, and we're just going to kind of go on from there. I'll try not to give too many spoilers or anything like that. I'll just tell you a little bit about the book, and I'll give it my rating as far as how many stars I gave it out of 5. So yeah, let's do this. So the 9th book that I read was this one right here. It's actually a friend of mine's book, but she was going to read it and she gave it to me and she's like, well, you can read it first. You guys, this book is so floppy. Like, yeah, I love it. Okay, I have problems, don't ask. But anyway, this is about Holly Madison, and she was a Playboy bunny that, you know, the whole Hugh Hefner era. She did start a show on the reality, it was like on E, I believe it was, yeah, it was an E show, and it was called The Girls Next Door, and then she kind of moved into having her own kind of spin-off from that, which was Holly's World. So this book right here, wow. It definitely was a page turner. I learned so many interesting facts. It is Holly Madison down the rabbit hole. Curious adventures and cautionary tales of a former Playboy bunny, which that title will, I don't want to say haunt because it gave her a lot, but I think it's a title that will always follow her through her life no matter what she does, unfortunately. So, I don't know. Did you know that Hugh Hefner didn't really own the Playboy Mansion? I never knew that. He rented the Playboy Mansion. He rented it per room, actually. And let me talk, it was astronomical, the price that he paid monthly to rent the Playboy Bunny Mansion, like the Playboy Mansion. I never knew that. Always thought he just owned the property, owned the mansion, all of it. But that was not true. He rented it. So that's crazy. And like I said, depending upon how many girlfriends that Hef had at the time, he had, each room was like a different price to rent it throughout the mansion per the month. So that was just, you learn a lot of interesting facts. I also learned that, you know, the Playboy bunny life was not all it was cracked up to be. They had a lot of strict rules to live by, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, eating disorders, mental abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, just a lot of different things. So it really talks about Holly's struggle to get along with the girls and even to get along with Hef. it really paints a different picture for you to kind of really see the whole light of the Playboy Mansion and Hugh Hefner and the girls and their whole life. So because it was a really good read, I did give it 4 stars. If I could give it 4.5, I would have, but I did give it a solid 4, so it was definitely an enjoyable read. So the next book that I read was called Like Me by Haley Fellin. And this book was an ebook that I had read on, I believe, it was either my Kindle app or the Scribe, I'm not sure. It was okay. It's basically about another kind of social media stalker type world. There's models, a lot of drug use, eating disorder, murder. There's a whole bunch of different kind of things that get brought into this. So it was worth reading. It was okay. So considering I thought the book was just kind of okay, I did only give it 3 stars. But I shouldn't say only, because 3 stars is still pretty decent. The next book that I read was the number 2 book in the series of Burned. So I read Burned in the beginning of the month, and then I read Smoke towards the middle. And this, like I said, is the sequel to Burned. And again, it was amazing. These are by Ellen Hopkins. I'm like addicted to her right now after finding these books. She has so many different books too that you guys can go and check out. There's like so many. And this one, I really, really loved Burned, and I really, really love Smoked. I did give this one a 4 stars as well. And I don't know if I told you, but she writes like her books as if they're like written in prose or like poetry style and formats. So it is a fast read, even though these books are pretty thick. Like, these are some hefty books, but really you can read them super fast. And in Smoke, it follows a girl that, you know, had a lot of family issues, and she's basically on the run. I don't want to give you too many things because definitely read Burned first if you're interested, and then Smoke, because it follows the same girl's story. And it just kind of talks about how she's gone through loss. She's gone through some different things. I can't really say too much without giving away the story, but it is very, very worth reading. Like, I really liked these stories, and I'm trying to find more of them so that I can keep reading them throughout the ones that she's all got that are available out there. So again, it has to do with new friends, looking at life newly, realizing that there is life after death, there's life after loss, there's life after love, all of that stuff. And it does have a lot of touchy topics as well as family abuse, like child abuse, child neglect, different things like that, murder. There's some racism cards and things like that in here. But it's a very, very, very good book. So I do recommend, and I did give it 4 stars. Okay, so continuing with some Ellen Hopkins books. Like I said, I'm trying to find some more. I'm trying to read them all. I did find this one. This one actually, I believe I found... Did I find this one? I found one of these as well in a free library. I think I actually might have purchased this one. But this is Crank by Ellen Hopkins, and there's 3 in this one. So it is a trilogy of books. There's Crank, Glass, and then I believe it's Fallout. So this one right here really has a lot to do with drug abuse, drug addiction, things like that. Everything that goes on, how you get addicted. This girl, Christina, I'll read you the back of this one. It says, Christina is the perfect daughter. She's a gifted high school junior. She's quiet and she's never in any trouble. Then she meets the monster, Crank. And what begins as a wild ride turns into a struggle of her mind, her soul, and her life. So it says, life was good before I met the monster. Afterlife was great, at least for a little while. So this is a very powerful book, centered a lot on drug abuse, drug addict behavior, things like that, showing someone what has an addictive behavior and just the trials and tribulations of how fast a drug can take over your life and how it can change you as a person. And it's definitely worth reading. I loved the book. I loved the characters in the book. I really, really, really appreciate the way Ellen Hopkins, writes her stories. This one as well is in poetry form. And it's not like everything rhymes or anything it's just more written in like the prose format and things like that. So I did give this a 4-star review as well. I'm really loving this author, so definitely going to be getting some more of her books, like I said. So this next book would have been book number 14. I'm looking at my notes, so I'm pretty sure I have them in order. And this is For One More Day by Mitch Albom. And if you guys remember, I read one of his books earlier and I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read for me. It was amazing. I loved it, loved it, loved it. It was one of the books that I read in January. That's kind of how I found Mitch Albom. And I had happened to find this one, For One More Day, and then I decided, because these books are so powerful, the way he writes, I just take so much out of them, and I wanted to remember every little part. I did end up annotating this book. There's a lot of ups and downs and wow moments and things like that. So I'll read you the back of this one as well. It says, if you had a chance, just one chance, to go back and fix what you did wrong in life, would you take it? And if you did, would you be big enough to stand it? Mitch Albom, in this new book, once again demonstrates why he is one of my favorite writers, a fearless explorer of the wistful and magical. He is also a devout believer in the power of love. One more day will make you smile, it will make you wistful, it will make you blink back tears of nostalgia, but most of all, it will make you believe in the eternal power of a mother's love. Whew. This book was heavy. Heavy in a very good way. Like, I don't want you to misconstrue that at all. I am just in love with this man and how he writes. So this book is about Charlie Benito and how growing up his dad was a baseball player and things like that, and that's pretty much all his dad was like addicted to, was baseball. And I don't want to say too much again, but he ends up losing his mother, and it talks about growing up. Even, you know, when his mom was alive, his dad basically told him, you either get to be a mama's boy or you get to be a daddy's boy. And what little boy doesn't want to, you know, follow in daddy's footsteps and things like that? So he wasn't really given a choice to be either, you know, or it was one or the other. And it just, there's so many things in this book that just hit home for me, and I could relate to a lot of them. And it's just, especially the eternal mother's love aspect of this story. It is paranormal. It has to deal with some ongoings of life and life after death. So that's all I really want to put out there about this one. But the end of this story literally was a shocker. Like, it took me a second to be like, wait a minute. And then I had to go back to the beginning of the story, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, this is making sense. And then it all ties in and it kind of slaps you in your face and you're like, whoa. I love how this author did this. I love how she took the beginning of the story and wrapped it all right back in to the end, but you gotta read it. There are so many quotes in this book that I just absolutely loved. The very first page says, but every family is a ghost story. The dead sit at our tables long after they are gone. Like, that gives me goosebumps because I truly feel the same way. And it's just, it's so sad. Like, there's sad parts, there's parts I loved. There's a lot of pink in here because these are the parts I loved. It was just, there's so many memorable quotes, things that just make you seriously think. This was another one for me. It says, when you're rotten about yourself, you become rotten to everyone else, even those you love. And I've been there. I've done that. I've also experienced it with people that I love that go through very rotten moments where they feel rotten about themselves, and it kind of transcends into making everyone around them feel rotten. And it's just, there's a lot in this book, and anything by this man, I'm saying, is definitely worth the read. And I gave this 5 stars for sure, all day, all night. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So because I couldn't get enough of Mitch Albom, I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, I did pick this one up. So this was book 15, and this was Tuesdays with Mori. Now this one I didn't end up annotating. I'm going to go back and do it. I knew I should have, because I'm going to, like I said, you just get so much out of these books. So many meaningful things that you want to hold on to and you never want to forget, and you want to use them to like push you forward in life yourself. So there's so many things that you can relate to, and there's just this, I don't even know how to explain it, but I loved this book as well. And this book, Tuesday with Mori, I also gave it 5 stars. And it's something I will read again. It's something I will go back and annotate. Like, I just can't get enough of this man. I can kind of sum this up. It has to do with a man. He's a professor. He's a teacher in college and things like that. And one of his students at the time who graduates has a real connection with this teacher, and though he promises he'll keep in touch after graduation, you know, life happens, and he's out there hustling, trying to make his dream come true and be a writer and do the things that he's doing. Well, he ends up stumbling upon his old professor and finding out that his professor, who's Mori, is dying from Al's disease, or ALS, and that's all I really want to say. But he ends up going back, and he spends Tuesdays with Mori, and through Mori and him and all of the things he's learned as a professor and things of psychology and different things like that, he has one kind of last hurrah with his student, and it is all about how he's feeling throughout the stages of knowing he's coming to terms with his death. There's so much in here. Again, I feel like I waste so much time talking about this, but there's so much in here. There was a story in here that I'm going to tell you guys I will continually think of for the rest of my life. I wish I had it exactly bookmarked, because I'd love to read it to you like word for word for word, because it's that powerful. And of course, I'm not going to find it right off the bat, but it basically talks about this wave that's out in the ocean. And this wave is just living his best old life. You know, the waves are just cruising across the ocean, and he sees all the other waves, and they're all just happy, going along their little wave lives. And then the wave looks forward, and he sees the shore. And he sees all of the waves before him crashing head on into the shore, and he starts to panic. This little wave does, and this wave is like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the end of me. This is going to be the end of me. I'm going to hit the shore. It's going to be the end of me. And another wave looks at him, says, you know, what's going on? What's wrong? And he explains to him, he's like, look at what's in front of us, the end. We're going to crash against that shore and be basically no more, to put it poetically. And the other wave looks at him, and he's just all smiles, and he's like, but that's not true, because you're not a wave. You're part of the ocean. And for me, like, I wish I could explain it how the book did. So if you want to find out the exact story, read it, and maybe you'll be able to pull more out of it than how I explained it. But you know, there is a start, there is a middle, and there is an end. And so many people look at the end as the end. That's it. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a religious thing, but it has to be something where you really think about the fact that there's so much more. You're not just you. You're a part of a whole. You're a part of it all. And I don't know. There's so many good parts in this book. It is sad. There's just so many stories, so many lessons that you can learn, I guess, from reading this book. And 5 stars all day, all night. Definitely check it out. So, a graphic novel that was introduced to me by a very close friend asked me how I was doing with the whole graphic novel thing. She knew I wanted to try to read some more, and I told her the one graphic novel I read, I just kind of felt like I wish there was more to the story. I wish I actually, you know, and I was kind of thinking, is that how all graphic novels are? And she's like, you're going to read this book and then we'll talk about that and see if you feel the same way. So she introduced me to Promethea. Wow, this is by Alan Moore, and this is number 1. Yeah. Book 1. This book, first of all, the illustrations in here are gorgeous. Like, they're gorgeous. There's just, I don't even know what to say about it. There's just, it's so fun to read. And I'll tell you this, I wasn't lacking anything throughout this book. Like, it's so beautiful. It pulls you in. You get, it's just like reading a regular book. You get all of the information that you're looking for and then some. And even though it has to do with like the mythical kind of fantasy, superpower, superhuman aspects, oh my goodness, this book was so good. I absolutely had to give it the 4 stars. I would have given it more. I just don't know how I feel about, is this book going to be something that I take with me for the rest of my life and got kind of lessons and things out of? No, but it's amazing. So if I could have given this one 4.5, I would have. And I cannot wait to read book number 2 now. And there's like how many in this Promethea collection? So, and thank God she has them all. So I can take this one back and swap it for book 2. So you'll see some more of these. But basically, I don't want to give you too much info on what it's about, but it has to do with anyone that thinks of this woman, Promethea. She kind of takes them over, and she's got different demons, different things to fight, different... You just got to read it. It's very good. I loved it. It was just stunning, the artwork, and it just takes your breath away. There's so much to look at, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. So book number 17 is this one. It's Laura Dean Keeps Breaking... I'm sorry, guys. I'm grabbing my little notes down here. It's Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki. This was so cute. So this is... I don't know if this was considered a manga or not because I read it as an ebook. So I'm pretty sure it's just a graphic novel, but I could be wrong. I'll have to double check that. But it was really cute. I admit, it's pretty much about a girl that's going through school and she's, you know, she's struggling with realizing what she deserves out of life. It is a same-sex relationship, so she falls in love with a girl at her school, and they just go through these trials and tribulations, and obviously Laura Dean keeps breaking up with her, and this poor girl goes through so much, and I love the way it ended. The pictures, the drawings were just adorable, and I definitely gave this 4 stars as well. So if you're interested in kind of like a little love story where, you know, it's, just read the book. It was really, really cute. So that was my book number 17. And then number 18. Number 18, I'm pretty sure I found this one in a free library, if I'm not mistaken. So this is, I'm holding it upside down. This is the book Less by Andrew Sean Greer. And I thought I was going to get like super sucked into this one. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. But it wasn't. Some of the pages and things I was like, okay, move along. Let's get going. I just want to finish this. Like, I took some stuff out of it, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't 100% my cup of tea. So I did still give it 3 stars because it was a good book. It was a good read. It was okay. I liked the characters. Les is this man right here in his tailored blue suit. And again, this has to do with same sex and relationships. He is a gay man living in a world where he is really dealing with the ins and outs of different relationships and coming to terms with the fact that he's aging. He's been interested in a lot of younger men for whatever reason it happened that way. And he questions a lot of his things. Did he waste his life? Is he still in love with this man? And it talks about him, and he basically decides he's going to travel the world, and I think it was like 80 days. The man that he was with for years and years, just on a casual togetherness thing, coming and going, ends up meeting somebody, and he tells him, I'm going to get married. And Les is like, okay. They even invite him to the wedding, and he's like, I can't go to the wedding. I still love him. I don't know. He's got so much going on and conflicting in his head with life, love, aging, all of it. So he decides to go and take all of these different offers that were given to him to talk about his books and his writings throughout the years. And he dated a famous author in the beginning of his life. So he gets to go to like different book things, and he gets to talk about his time with him. And he gets some critiques about his own work, and he goes all over the world, literally all over the world. And then in the end, the reason, it has a really cute ending. So that's all I'll say about that. But if you're interested in learning more about this man's life, then this is definitely the book. I did give it 3 stars. And then this was book 19 for February. And it's really cute. I actually picked this up with the intention of giving it to my daughter. So it's Closed for the Season by Mary Downing Hahn. And it is a young adult book, but I read everything and anything. So be it that this was like literally, it took me only a tiny, like, I don't know, maybe not even an hour or so to read this book. But she is the winner of the Edgar Award for Best Juvenile Mystery. And I will tell you, I jumped right into this book and was like page turning. It was right up my alley. It was so cute. It is about these 2 kids, these 2 young boys that befriend each other. They go through different things where the one child moves into a new house in a new city, and there's a death that has occurred there, or a murder, and he finds out he's living basically in the murder house. And there's a huge amusement park area that's been completely condemned and closed down, and there's just this treasure hunt, mystery, murder. It gives you a little bit of it all. There's a lot of talk in here about drug use, bullying, things like that. So there are some trigger warnings even in this young adult book, but I flipped right through it, and the friendship that they kind of develop for each other, and the little things, it's a whole little adventure that they go on with each other, and I love this book. It was so freaking cute. So I did give this 4 stars. So book 20 for me was Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. And this is a graphic novel, and someone had recommended it to me. I love, 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 love the artwork in this book. And it's pretty much a bunch of little mini stories that all have to do with the woods. I don't know what it is about stories that have to do with like the forest and the woods and things like that, but I can honestly say that I love books like that. I just love them. So like I said, this is Through the Woods by Emily Carroll, and I did give it 4 stars. It was really interesting. Some of the stories were cuter than the others, and it does have to do with, some murder and some craziness. So it's supposed to be kind of like a scary book, and a lot of the little stories, it's worth the read if you like reading graphic novels, and the imagery is awesome. So book 21 is Missing and Endangered by J.A. Jantz, and I have that book Well, I have that book somewhere, but I don't know where it is for whatever reason. I don't have it with all of my books, but I'll put a picture of it up over here. This book, you guys, I just started flying through it. Again, it was a definite page turner. It has to do with some online scenarios where young girls are meeting different people online, and the main character of this story is a woman that has lost her husband. She did remarry, and she is now a sheriff for her town, and her daughter is away, her older daughter is away at college, and her roommate meets a man online. They end up coming home, and there's a murder that the sheriff is already dealing with. There's a bunch of stuff going down in this town, and everything's kind of fallen on to the sheriff's shoulders. And it was a really, really good book. It was a page turner. I really liked it because of like the true crime, like the mystery part of it and all of that. So I did give this book 4 stars as well. And then there was this book, Mooncakes, and this was book number 22. It's also a graphic novel. It is so cute. I'll put it up over here if I haven't already. And it's by Suzanne Walker. I gave this one 4 stars. It is about this, she's a witch. So she lives with, it's her mentors. It's her grandma, I believe, and her partner, who's also, they're a lesbian couple, and they're witches as well. And they do spells. They take care of the forest. They take care of each other. They have a little, bookstore and things. It has to do with the younger daughter's friend coming back around. You learn about her and her kind of superpower, not superpower, but her power that she has as, a witch or whatever you want to deem it. I don't have the right words, I guess, to explain all these books, but it was definitely cute. I loved just the whole idea of the book, and I did give it 4 stars. So she is hearing impaired. There's a bunch of different things that go into this book. Like I said, it was just such a cute graphic novel. Like, I just recommend it. It was definitely worth reading. Number 23 I'm going to put up over here was Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. You guys know that it takes a lot for me to give a book a 5-star review, and this again was a graphic novel, and it's a graphic novel that stole my heart. It is like the LGBT kind of community again. It is a boy love story, and you get so hooked into these characters and their little story and how they become a couple, and it has to do with, them accepting themselves and going through bullying and different things at school, dealing with friends, and, the outside criticism and the hardships that come with putting yourself out there and allowing you to be true to yourself and who you really are, and especially when it comes to your sexuality. And I love these 2 main characters. I love their story. I took little things out of it about just so much. I don't even have the words to just explain how much I love this little connection and the story, and I gave it 5 stars, and I cannot wait to read Heartstopper number 2. I know there's like how many, and it follows their story, and I just cannot wait. So that did get 5 stars. Go check that out. It was so good. So book number 24, and that's where we're stopping for February. 24 books in February. It was this book right here. I did read this on Scribd. It was, or Scribd. I don't even know how you pronounce that app, but it's an amazing app. And it was called Horrid. And I can't remember exactly for whatever reason right now. I don't have the book in front of me because it was an ebook and I'm using my phone. But the author and all of that I'll put up here. But it was definitely a page turner. Everything I was getting into this book, I was loving. It has to deal with mental health issues. It has to deal with murder. It has to do with paranormal activity. It has to do with, a new life, a new friendship, life after loss of a family member. And so much stuff just happens, and all of that stuff I love. There's this back-toned mystery that she doesn't really know about, and she moves to a whole new state from California with her mom, and there's just so much she doesn't know about her mother's childhood or her mother's family to begin with, and this house is just haunted, and they go through so much. And I was gonna give it a 5 stars review until the very end. It just like brings you to the end and then you're just done, and I'm like, so it explains a lot of stuff and you get what you need to out of it, but then it's just like da 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 da, and you don't know what happens next. And I understand authors do that sometimes, so it's for you to kind of make up your own mind on what you think happens next. It leaves it open for interpretation per the reader, I guess. But I don't want to interpret what happened next. I just wanted the author to tell me what happened next. So if it wasn't for that, it would have been 5 stars for sure. It has to deal with so many awesome different factors, and yeah, it's definitely worth reading. It is 4 stars. I just couldn't give it 5 after the ending. So I have so much to do today, and I have to clean up all these books. But that was it for all the books that I read in February of this wonderful 2022 year. And I've already been reading. I have so many more books to read because a lot of you have been sending me books and things like that. So just know that I always appreciate you guys. And thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for learning about some more books. And I'll promise I'll try to get more articulate about some of the words I use and stop trying to say like, like, and basically so much. I don't know why I do those things. I don't do those things when I'm not in front of the camera. So I don't know if it's just like, I don't know, but it is what it is. And thank you guys for everything. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please decide to subscribe and join our random family. And I'll be back with some more book talk videos amongst Lord knows what else. So as always, you guys, stay random and keep reading. Bye, guys.